Stop right there. Before you scroll away, take a moment to ask yourself why you're here. Something drew you to this. Maybe it's discomfort. Maybe it's curiosity. Maybe you felt the sting of mockery, judgment, or shame, and you've realized there is something missing. A way to respond without losing yourself. You've been told that dignity comes from humility, that patience will protect you, that silence is weakness. And yet, you've seen the powerful navigate ridicule like water around a stone, untouched, unbothered, entirely in control. 5 centuries ago, Niccolò Machiavelli walked the streets of Florence with eyes sharp enough to read human weakness like an open book. Kingdoms rose and fell. Families accumulated influence overnight. Lives were destroyed on whims, rumors, and whispered lies. And through it all, he watched patterns emerge. The way people reacted to shame, humiliation, and contempt wasn't random. It followed rules that, once understood, gave extraordinary leverage to the observant few. Imagine standing in a room and everyone turns to whisper about you. You feel the weight of their eyes, the subtle smirk of someone who believes they hold power over your perception. Most would shrink, apologize, or overcompensate. Most would fight desperately to reclaim lost dignity, proving the very weakness they seek to conceal. But what if there was another way? What if the response was not reaction, but strategy? What if the insult, the sneer, the laughter became a tool to elevate you rather than diminish you? Humans are wired to react emotionally. Shame triggers a cascade of chemicals that make the body and mind flinch. But emotional reaction is transparency. Reaction is vulnerability. The powerful understand that the moment they are pushed, they are not obligated to push back. The powerful know that control is never regained through noise. It is regained through presence, perception, and the deliberate shaping of reality around them. When the world shouts, the strong listen. They study the rhythm of the attack, the intent behind the words, the unspoken desire of those who attempt to diminish them. And then, instead of responding as expected, they act in ways that confuse, redirect, and ultimately absorb the energy aimed at them. This is not revenge. This is leverage. This is power. Imagine a young diplomat in Renaissance Florence, surrounded by whispers and judgmental glances. Every slight, every rumor is a test. Most would confront, explain, or retreat. But the observant diplomat notes the patterns. Who speaks when, whose laughter carries weight, whose silence indicates hidden alliances. The diplomat learns that ignoring certain slights makes them lose significance, that the body of an insult carries no weight if it finds no acknowledgement. And when it is acknowledged, not with indignation, but with measured, controlled action, it amplifies your presence, your authority, your inevitability. Power operates on perception. Perception shapes reality. The people who shame you are often attempting to establish a narrative in which they hold authority over you. They want to define your story. They want to assign your worth according to their standards, not yours. But you, if you are aware, can reclaim that narrative without uttering a single defensive word. By observing, by controlling your response, by choosing silence over reaction, you begin to shift the weight. You turn expectation against the expected. You create uncertainty in the minds of those who attempt to control you. And uncertainty is leverage. Think of it in modern terms. A colleague spreads rumors about your incompetence. Your first instinct might be anger, confrontation, or even self-defense. But consider another path. You continue executing your work flawlessly, letting results speak while they entangle themselves in their own attempt to control perception. Every word they utter in your absence is absorbed, analyzed, and rendered impotent by the quiet, deliberate, visible excellence you consistently demonstrate. Their attempts to shame become footnotes in the story of your competence. And beyond silence, there is the art of strategic revelation. The powerful understand that information is currency. They know when to reveal, when to conceal. When shamed publicly, they may choose to reveal a calculated vulnerability, a truth that humanizes them without diminishing authority. A subtle gesture, a measured disclosure, a story that reframes the narrative. Suddenly, the world's attempt to humiliate becomes a stage for admiration. They do not become weak by revealing, they become irresistible. The unexpected honesty confuses, recalibrates, and in some cases, dominates those who sought to diminish them. History is full of examples. A general scorned by rivals, a king mocked by courtiers, a merchant belittled by competitors. In every case, those who reacted with predictable emotion were undone. Those who observed, calculated, and acted with deliberate intent turned the mockery into advantage. They allowed the world to project, only to redirect the energy to their own rise. They leveraged shame, ridicule, and criticism as the furnace in which their power was forged, not the chains that bound them. Awareness is uncomfortable. It forces you to confront truths about human nature. That fairness is a myth, that perception is more powerful than reality, that influence often trumps honesty, but discomfort is the threshold. Beyond it lies strategic clarity. It is here that you learn to bend the expectations of those who seek to diminish you, not through confrontation, but through control of self, presence, and timing. This is why the people who master power never appear defensive. They never explain, justify, or plead. They observe, they calculate, they absorb. They understand that energy spent reacting is energy surrendered. Energy spent responding with calm, deliberate action is energy multiplied. Every insult ignored, every slight recorded, every rumor allowed to circulate without panic, all become tools in the architecture of influence. The most potent tool is subtlety. Power does not demand attention to be absolute. It does not scream to exist. It operates quietly, invisibly, in ways that shape decisions before the conscious mind even notices. When shamed, the powerful know that their silence is louder than words, their calm stronger than anger, their presence more compelling than any defense. They become the reference point. Others orbit their gravity, even if they sought to push them away. And yet, mastery requires practice. It requires patience. It requires observation of the patterns and tendencies of those around you. You must cultivate the ability to measure, to pause, to reflect before acting. Every reaction, every gesture, every moment of attention must be intentional. A single misstep, a single unnecessary emotional response can unravel influence painstakingly built over years. The world thrives on attention, yet the truly powerful understand that attention can be a double-edged sword. Every gaze cast in judgment is an opportunity to shape reality. Every whisper intended to wound is a thread you can weave into your own tapestry of influence. You've been shamed before. You know the sensation, the heat rising to your face, the tightening in your chest, the urge to respond. Most people react instinctively, and in doing so, they hand over power they didn't even realize was theirs to give. But you have a choice. Control is not about confrontation. It is about shaping the environment in which confrontation is no longer necessary. When someone attempts to shame you, it's not just an attack. It's a statement of expectation. They are trying to define your behavior, your identity, your worth. And if you are strategic, you do not submit to that definition. Instead, you observe. You measure the intent. You catalog the pattern. And then, without haste, you act in ways that undermine the assumption behind their mockery. Imagine a boardroom. A colleague makes a subtle jab during a meeting, expecting embarrassment. Most would flinch, deflect, or counterattack. But the master of influence smiles slightly, absorbs the comment, and continues speaking with unwavering clarity and authority. Every word, every pause, every action is deliberate. The room begins to recalibrate unconsciously. The whisperer's expectation is thwarted, not with aggression, but with controlled presence. The power dynamic shifts silently. Those watching cannot articulate why, but they feel the recalibration. And in that silence, the architect of outcomes strengthens their position. Historical figures provide vivid illustrations. During the Renaissance, statesmen navigated courts rife with intrigue and scandal. A single misplaced word could ruin a career. Yet those who survived and thrived understood the subtle balance of visibility and invisibility, of revealing enough to maintain credibility while withholding enough to maintain power. They used shame not as a force against them, but as a lens to analyze the intentions of others. Each attempt to belittle, each rumor, Each sly comment became data, raw intelligence to be processed and leveraged. Strategic use of vulnerability is a cornerstone of influence. By revealing selective truths, you build relatability and trust while maintaining dominance. Consider the subtle confession or carefully framed anecdote. It humanizes without weakening authority. It disarms opponents and captivates allies. People are drawn to authenticity, yet authenticity, when wielded deliberately, is an instrument of power. The modern environment is no different. Social media amplifies judgment and mockery to an unpronoun.